You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible. All right, folks, the person who released the video, who leaked that video showing the shooting of Ahmaud Arbery, has stepped forward. He is a lawyer in the town of Brunswick, Georgia. This is the video that we were referring to. Of course, it was the leaking of this video which led to the district attorney announcing that they were going to actually take this to a grand jury. Well, the issues with that is not, and then led to national coverage. Now, all of a sudden, national media is interested. Vice President Joe Biden has made comments about this here. The White House was asked about this earlier. They were preparing a report to get to Trump as well. That's the only reason all of a sudden this now has become a national story, because the video was released. But it was interesting is that, why? What is the story behind this? I'm going to pull this story up. This is from the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. This is, for some reason, I can't pull this story up for some reason. And this attorney says that, and he wouldn't say if he represented anyone or not. He's a criminal defense attorney. Go to my iPad, please. There had been very little information provided by the police department or the district attorney's office, but there was entirely too much speculation, rumor, false narratives, and outright lies surrounding this event, said the attorney, Alan Tucker. I didn't release this to show that they did nothing wrong as it's being circulated. Yet when he was asked about this, he, of course, really couldn't answer the question. I'm scrolling up here, and when he was asked about it, here's good, right here. Tucker's involvement, let me pull it up right here. Tucker's involvement is something of a mystery. He said his firm has not been retained to represent anyone involved in the case, but in the very next sentence, added a caveat. We may be, we may not be. I love this community and have spent my career helping people in this community. My sole purpose in releasing the video was absolute transparency because my community was being ripped apart by erroneous accusations and assumptions. Now, here's the deal. The reality is that George McMichael, Travis McMichael, father and son, were the ones who were involved. That's them right there. Also, there's a photo circulating of the father with his Trump hat on, his MAGA hat, Trump shirt, doing a thumbs up sign with the governor of Georgia, Brian Kemp. Now, what you also have here, though, is that there was another man who was following behind him. He was the one who actually was shooting the video. And again, I'm going to pull that name up in a second. And so the problem right now is again, understanding really what's going on here. Now, in the next hour, we're going to talk with the mother of Mr. Arbery. That'll be in the next hour. And so we look forward to having that conversation. But right now, I want to go to my panel on Dr. Greg Carr. He's the chair, Department of Afro-American Studies at Howard University. Erica Savage Wilson, host Savage Politics Podcast. Reese Colbert, Black Women's Views. All right, glad to have all of you here. I will start with you, Erica, since you are a native of Georgia. It is strange for this attorney, a defense attorney, to say he released the video, because here's the first deal. How did you get it? Who sent it to you? And then we may or may not. Sounds to me like, no, you're likely representing the third guy. That's probably what happened here.
Mm-hmm. More than likely. And thinking about the former Secretary of State, who I would not dignify as saying governor, the former Secretary of State, Brian Kemp, who readily opened up the state for Black folks to shop. But February 23rd, when this lynching happened in broad daylight, he has since now not opened up the governor's mansion, nor has he opened up the courts so that justice can be served. And so around this whole lynching, I think the unfortunate piece is that at a time where Black folks are disproportionately being affected by COVID-19, that then there's this other layer of trauma that's being added with the video. And so, since Roland Martin Unfiltered has really been pushing this story for quite some time, I know the NAACP put out something today to say that we are done dying. This is an opportunity for folks to use their social media for something good by, number one, elevating by using your name and your voice to let the former Secretary of State know that we see him, and that his late response, his politically expedient Twitter is not enough to say that his heart goes out to the family, and that he's doing what needs to be done by way of an investigation that should have been happened. It should not take the trauma of Black bodies to have to force him to do the right thing. So I think that us being a collective, lifting our voices to let Kemp and all those other officials that we see the McMichaels, that we see them, and that though we have our hands on several pots, we're not letting this go. And so justice has to be demanded, and we have to stand with this family today.
Go back to my iPad, please. This is from the Atlanta Journal-Constitution story. William Bryan, a resident of Satilla Shores, who was helping the McMichaels corner Arbery, he was the one who actually was shooting that video. The reality is this here, Greg. If that video doesn't get leaked, this is not a national story. Now, we had Lee Merritt on the show last week talking about this here, but NBC, ABC, CBS, CNN, MSNBC, Fox, none of these networks are doing this. You're not having all the response from celebrities and others. It's all because this video got released. So we do need to be asking what's the motive of this attorney of releasing this video, being a defense attorney, and asking the critical questions. Well, how did you get it? How's it in your possession? And to prosecutors, go back to my iPad, please. It was initially Brunswick Circuit District Attorney Jackie Johnson, the prosecutor, who recused herself. Then it was George Barnhill, who was assigned the case, who recused himself. And so then we have this third DA who now is the one who said, I'm not going to pursue this. And so this was intended, Greg, to be an absolute cover-up. They thought people were just going to forget.
Sure, but I mean, we had to be able to chew gum and walk at the same time. When you interviewed Brother Merritt, and you all made the point, it's very important to understand that you don't need to convene a grand jury.
Yep.
In order to, to arrest these men, to jail them, to prosecute them. It's very important that we need to be able to do both these things. While we are focusing on the details of how this video got leaked, of who has a motive, we also must understand that without a framework for being able to interpret these events, we will be spinning our wheels. What do I mean? That video was going to come out eventually, and this public outcry was going to happen eventually. Anytime you have white supremacists and white nationalists like Brian Kemp, Doug Collins, and others decrying this and saying they're going to investigate, that isn't a search for justice. That's a preemptive strike. The phrase we need to be focusing on here, as we focus on the details, the broader conceptual framework we need to focus on is rule of law. What do I mean by that? On a day when a 37-year-old gets elevated probably to the D.C. Court of Appeals, Mitch McConnell's boy, on a day when this criminal attorney general says that we're going to drop our investigation of Mike Flynn, what they're saying is, when we control the law, you have to obey the law. What we don't want is Black people to turn away from any possibility that the rule of law is in charge. So when you see a sister like the sister Sarah Anthony in Lansing, the state rep who was surrounded by 3 brothers with long rifles going into the Lansing state capitol because she said clearly the rule of law has failed up here. When we see them release this video and then all these white supremacists line up and say, oh, this is a travesty. No, what they're trying to do is set it up. Go back into 1892 and read Ida B. Wells' lynch law in all its phases. See, when you convene a grand jury, then you can say, well, the lynch mob of the grand jury said that there was nothing to see here. When you say that we're going to get justice, when the governor says that, then he's hoping that Black people won't say, you know what? I'm not even going to worry about it. There's a Second Amendment. Everybody gets strapped. And the next time you show up on somebody, I'm going to blow your brains out. In other words, what they're trying to do is get ahead of an obvious situation so that finally black people, they can try to convince them, oh, just let the law run its course. So I don't think that this was anything other than a tactic to try to get ahead of what was inevitable, which was going to be the release of this video. And at that point, they can't get out in front of it.
Reese, it's no doubt all of a sudden the cover your ass game is being played. It's all CYA. And like I tweeted, I do not call this DA a hero because he's going to a grand jury.
Right.
The fact of the matter is these 3 individuals now could easily be arrested. 2 of them directly for murder. 1 of them as an accessory to murder. They should be arrested. And so that's what you're seeing here. And now with the pressure, now all of a sudden demands for the first DA, Jackie Johnson, to resign. Now the pressure, Barnhill should resign. Now the governor, he's now commenting. Trump comments about the pain of these parents and what they're experiencing. All these things are now happening only because the video got released. And if it was not for that release of the video, the account of these 3 individuals and the account of the prosecutor would be the final word. That's a fact.
It is a fact, but it's also very disturbing because one of the perpetrators, as you mentioned, actually recorded this video. So I'm curious, what was the purpose of this? To get off on the video, to try to to share it amongst friends? I think it is a valuable question as far as how did the video get to this defense attorney? I'm sick and tired of Black trauma porn being shared over and over on the internet, and it requires people to be sickened by Black men being gunned down. There was another gentleman who was gunned down just last night by the cops, and the cops said that's going to be a closed casket funeral. I'm tired of this trauma, this re-traumatization of these videos circulating, being the necessity for even an investigation, for even a grand jury. All of these damn DAs, all they did was kick the can, and they're still kicking the can down the road. A grand jury is kicking the can down the road when, as you said, they should be arrested right now. We don't even know where the hell these people are. I mean, they could have fled the country. Anything could have happened. But the sense of urgency and justice, this murder happened back in February, and we're just now starting to get to the bottom of it a little bit. It's very disturbing, but I'm sick of seeing these images, and I'm sick of it taking that much just violence and trauma for anybody to stand up and pay attention. It should have been enough right off the top.
Every single night. We've got some of the top Black experts. You're not going to see them on cable news or broadcast news because you swear Black people aren't experts when it comes to this health crisis. That's why we have this show and why we do what we do every day on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Joining us right now is retired General Russell Honoré, the nation's first Black Surgeon General, Dr. Joycelyn Elders. John Hope Bryant, he's the founder of Operation Hope. Senator Kamala Harris of California, Dr. Cedrina Calder, retired General Lloyd Austin, Congresswoman Karen Bass, Commissioner Omari Hardick, Bureau President in Brooklyn, Eric Adams, Dr. Joseph Graves, America's Wealth Coach, Deborah Owens, Dr. Corey Hebert, Patel Salt, Howard University student, Pastor Jamal Bryant, Dr. Christy McDowell, Benja Ajilore, senior economist at the Center for American Progress, Gilda Daniels, again, author of the book, The Crisis of Voter Suppression in America. 4 stars, General Kip Ward. Dr. Oliver Brooks is president of the National Medical Association, president of the American Medical Association, Dr. Patrice Harris. Joby Benjamin, Dr. Alexia Gaffney, infectious disease specialist, Dr. Georges Benjamin, executive director of the American Public Health Association, Malcolm Nance, family medicine physician, Dr. Jen Cardle, Dr. Tashaka Cunningham, a molecular biologist, Kat Stafford. She's a national race and ethnicity reporter for the Associated Press. Dr. Wayne A.I. Frederick, who is the president of Howard University, Congresswoman Yvette Clarke from the state of New York, William Spriggs, AFL-CIO economist, Andrea James, executive director of the National Council for Incarcerated and Formerly Incarcerated Women and Girls. All right, let's go to Capitol Hill. Congressman Gregory Meeks, Congresswoman Eddie Bernice Johnson of Texas, Congresswoman Barbara Lee, Minnesota Senator Amy Klobuchar, mental health clinician Jamie Singletary, Prince George's County State's Attorney Aisha Brayboy, as well as Dylan Hayrie, ACLU Justice Division strategist. Dr. Cindy Duke, she is a virologist Partners, Principal Steve Perry of Capital Prep, Health and Wellness Specialist Dr. Yolandra Hancock, Desmond Meade, President of the Florida Rights Restoration Coalition, Cliff Albright, who is the co-founder of Black Voters Matter, Michael Harriet with The Root, the Mina McWhorter, founder of Love by the Hand, Dr. Julianne Malvo, economist, president, Emerita Bennett College, coroner Michael Fowler, is the mayor of Atlanta, Keisha Lance Bottoms, mental health therapist Suzette Clark, Justin Gibney, attorney and political strategist, and Bishop Vincent Matthews Jr., Dr. Suzette McKinney, CEO and executive director of the Illinois Medical District, Dr. Leon Madugal, president-elect of the National Medical Association, Jana Bailey, mayor of Moss Point, Mississippi, Mario King. We're going to keep driving this thing to make sure our people are fully aware, safe, protected from coronavirus. You getting the top medical experts, top business experts, top political experts, top religious experts, because that's why we do what we do. Unapologetically and unfiltered. Ain't nobody else in the black media space doing what we do. Watch Roland Martin Unfiltered daily at 6 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, or Periscope, or go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com.